And after completing, if this was their goal, the greatest collapse in the history of baseball. Yes, Gene Mauch is off the hook and the 64 Phillies and many other chokers. I still don't know if it's worse than the Yankees collapse in the '04 ALCS, but we could debate that this morning with our good buddy Matt Imbrogno of YankeeAnalysts.com. Good morning, Matt.
Hey, Butch, how are you?
I've been better.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Clearly, Verlander has had one of those Roger Clemens 86 seasons, Ron Guidry 78, Tim Lincecum type of seasons. Yet now it's the postseason. It's another whole season. So when you do look at how he pitched against the Yankees this year, he had 2 games, and the Yankees beat him once. He had a no decision in the other, correct?
Yeah, opening day they won against him, and then there was a no decision later on. They played each other the first weekend of the month, the first series of the year. And then I think they played in either late April or early May in Detroit, and that was it.
Yeah, so by the way, the latest for cutting down the unbalanced schedule and adding some more games against other teams. To your point, these 2 teams that are starting a playoff series didn't play the second half. They only had 2 series against each other. I mean, you agree?
Yeah, meanwhile, I think the Yankees had 3 or 4 series against Oakland this year, which I'm not going to complain about because, that's easy wins.
Yeah, but also like 8 series against Toronto and Baltimore and the Red Sox. But still, come on.
I'm definitely for adjusting the schedule and balancing out a little bit more.
Okay, so are you worried about Verlander, or do you think, in the article, Larry says that the reality is they'll probably scratch across 3 runs, that's what he's expecting, like they did during the regular season?
I mean, you have to be worried because he's just so good, but you also have to remember that it's the playoffs and it's one game. And for either pitcher, this goes for Sabathia, it goes for Verlander, they could both throw a perfect game because they've got that kind of stuff and that kind of ability, or they could both get knocked out in the first inning because both teams are great on offense. Miguel Cabrera scares me just as much as Justin Verlander. That guy destroys the Yankees. Anytime I see Phil Hughes and Miguel Cabrera facing off, I know the ball is going to end up like 10 rows deep. It happens all the time. So no, I'm worried just because Verlander is so good, but I know that it's a short series. It's a one-game thing. Anything can happen.
Let's remind folks about CC's postseason history. And if history does mean anything, he was traded to the Milwaukee Brewers, we remember, and basically they rode him like a rented mule, and he performed. What do you have, 17 wins to get them to the postseason. Then he came, when he was with the Cleveland Indians, before that, the Red Sox made a shambles of him in the postseason. So there were all kinds of questions about his postseason performance when he came to the Yankees. He lived up to that. He answered all those critics. He became a champion.
Yep.
He started 6 game ones in a Yankee uniform, but the last one he started, he got rocked around last year. Which CC Sabathia do you think is going to show up and why at Yankee Stadium tonight?
I'm hoping the real CC Sabathia shows up because, well, why wouldn't I want that to show up? I'm thinking that shows up just because he's that good. Maybe his command will be a little off because he's been away a little bit. But there have been games this year and the last 2 years where his command is off, but he still gets through 7 innings, giving up 3 runs. I know that no matter what, he's going to give them length and and if he does fall behind, even if it's by 1 or 2 runs, he's going to stay in that game and give them a chance to come back and settle in and let the offense do its thing. That's the best part of Sabathia. He gives length and dominance at times, more times than not.
I would argue that the Yankees and Tigers, when you look at Sabathia and Verlander, and then the drop-off to everybody else, I wonder if you agree with this, there's a bigger drop-off with both of these teams than probably any other teams in the playoffs. I mean, the Phillies, it's Halladay, but then it's Cliff Lee. You look at even Matt Moore, the rookie starting for Tampa, to kick the playoffs now, and then they go to James Shields, who's had, 12 complete games. So if you agree with me that there's a bigger drop-off with these 2 teams, who has more pressure to win this game with either Sabathia or Verlander going?
I think the pressure to get the lead and get the win, I guess, would be more on the Tigers just because that Yankee bullpen is so ridiculous. But the Tigers have a pretty solid bullpen, too, with Albuquerque and Valverde, who I think has gotten probably a little bit lucky this year looking at some of his peripherals. To say that one team would have more pressure than the other is unfair just because it is the playoffs and there's always that pressure there. I think both teams are capable of winning this first game, and both teams are capable of coming back from losing this first game.